Hello and welcome to another episode of Talking Wrestling with Palm Water Dave. I'm Palm Water Dave. Joining with, as always, we have the First Lady of the Arn Anderson Fan Club, Miss Amy Vaughn.
Hello, hello.
Filling in for the absent Justin Davis tonight is from the TNA Top 10 podcast, Mr. Andrew Hermes.
Hello.
And our guest tonight, we're super excited about having. He is the reigning, defending, undisputed Spartan Pro Wrestling champion. He currently holds the Coastal Wrestling Federation belt. Please welcome the FleauxHawk, Justin Fleaux. Justin, how are you, sir? Justin, can you hear us?
Ladies and gentlemen, you'll have to excuse me. My mic is messing up.
That's okay. I can hear
FleauxHawk's mic is messing up temporarily, but I promise you I will be able to hear y'all here in just a second.
No problem.
Just give me 1 second.
So while we're waiting for him to get his mic fixed, what's going on, y'all? How's your week?
Crazy. Just got back from Baltimore. Went to Lindsay Lopez's Harvey wedding. It was amazing.
It's going to be hard to quit calling her Lindsay Lopez.
I know.
Yeah, even Eric did it when he said, "I now pronounce you."
Derek should have took. Hang on, Derek should have took her last name. I'm just kidding. Well, kind of.
We lost the FleauxHawk.
We'll be back shortly. So y'all were whining and dining like kings and queens, huh?
It was amazing. It really was.
Yeah, we had a great time. As always, this group doesn't find fun difficult to have. So, the shit talking in the chat's already begun.
First shot was fired.
And I did listen to the Simon Phillips episode last week while I was at the gym, so I heard all Simon had to say. If I'm not, he's the one that beats up his brothers, right? That guy?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I definitely heard him last week. Yeah. He was not very nice to them.
I've got a little brother. I respect that.
Well, I was the brother and had 3 sisters, so they're not dead. I have 3 sisters.
Well, let's go back to Baltimore for a minute. First, I'm going to congratulate Lindsay and Derek. I'm so sorry that me and Steph couldn't make it. I had the time off. We just couldn't make the trip. I hate it, but we wish you the best. We're so happy for you. You deserve a lifetime of happiness, and I hope y'all have that. But y'all hit Baltimore like wrestlers, hitting up Jimmy's Famous Seafood and Sabatino's.
Definitely. You'll have to listen.
Tell me you're a wrestling fan traveling to Baltimore without telling me you're a wrestling fan traveling to Baltimore.
Exactly.
Correct.
Exactly.
I don't know how Ric Flair lost a Rolex at Sabatino's in marinara sauce. That is a mystery we will have to, because I told Terry last night on our show, it's like going to Mima's house at Sabatino's. I don't know if you've ever been, Dave, but
I've never been to Baltimore.
This place ain't been decorated since before my birth, okay? It ain't been redecorated since the 80s.
Well, if I would have gone, I would have gone to Jimmy's and I would have gone to Sabatino's too.
Sabatino's was the best.
No problem.
Look, loud and clear now.
Apologies about that. Seems to has a lot of things happen in life. Last second interruptions come out of nowhere. I got a phone call on my phone, and fortunately I can't deal with any business, but unfortunately messed up my AirPods. I couldn't hear anybody. I could see y'all, couldn't see you, couldn't hear you. But it's all good. FleauxHawk's here. I'm happy to be here with Talking Wrestling, so let's get to it. Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed or not, but shots fired already in the chat.
I'm not shocked in the slides about that. Who knows? Maybe he was the one who made the phone call. Simon. Real funny, real cute. Anyway, now that we've taken the obligatory BS out of the way,
all right.
We took the funny comments out of the way. We took the clown's comment, put it on the screen, and then zoomed it away. Let's get to the real discussion about the best here at Coastal Wrestling Federation, and that's Justin Fleaux. The one who rocks the FleauxHawk, yeah.
I have to ask because last week accusations were made that
Mhm.
a title match didn't go down because of cut tires.
Mm.
Cut tires, he claims.
You were accused of cutting the man's tires to keep him from making the show.
Mhm.
As anyone, would accuse the FleauxHawk or Flow Enterprises as a whole of doing. Here's the thing. The man's tires are flat, but there's plenty of tire places from Louisiana all the way to Florida that he could have stopped by. If he truly desperately wanted to get the CWF for those fans in Milton, Florida, he would have done everything he could to get there. But Simon Phillips didn't. He didn't show up. And he was this close to having that belt taken away from him automatically. Of course, out of nowhere, I guess the Blue Board of Directors changed their mind. They had the first ever Coastal Wrestling Federation champion, Mr. James Veal, come out and then somehow magically gets a main event, but I digress. We went through the match. I rolled him up for the pin. And exactly what was going to happen to Simon Phillips happened to James Veal. 1, 2, 3, the FleauxHawk wins again. Now, granted, it wasn't for the championship, but I've been holding that championship nice and tight, keeping it nice and shiny, because coming this Saturday is going to be officially on this shoulder, along with the Spartan Pro Wrestling Championship, which is usually on this shoulder.
It's a nice championship. You showed it to us before we
Yes, sir.
went on the air.
We can get a nice little closer look to it. The Spartan
Heck
Pro
yeah.
Wrestling Championship got a nice spears, shield, really represents the Spartan history. Spartan Wrestling has been around since about 2021. It's my home promotion. I consider it my home promotion. And I'm happy and honored to have this on one of my shoulders as far as my professional wrestling career goes on. And but obviously we're talking about the Coastal Wrestling Federation, a promotion that brought me in back in, I think it's right at 2022, I believe, right around the beginning of it. And 2 years later, I'm now considered one, I guess you would say the bad guys. I guess all those fans in Milton, Florida would consider me a bad guy. As far as I'm concerned, I'm just a top talent.
Well,
I'm one of the best Coastal Wrestling Federation has to offer. It's as simple as it gets.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and show everybody that this May the 4th, we have Special Operations Wing Family Day, the 919th Special Operations Wing Family Day at Duke Field in Florida. And we will see Justin Fleaux and Simon Phillips for the Coastal Wrestling Federation Championship.
Yes, sir.
So
it'll be truly an honor to whip that little keister of Simon Phillips in front of some of the bravest men and women in this country, without a question. And to do it on the actual military complex upon which we're doing it is even more of an honor, especially considering my grandfather, he was a POW in World War II. I've always supported the troops in every which way I can. And so to be able to perform for those men and women, whether they cheer me or boo me, that's up to them. As far as I'm concerned, they put sacrifices in this country more than any one of us could ever even imagine. So yeah, I'm looking very much forward to this Saturday.
Oh, we're looking forward to hearing how this all turns out. Simon was pretty adamant that he told us that he would take care of you in short order and get his belt back. So apparently you're in possession of the championship belt.
It is, yes. I most certainly am. It's not on screen because I don't want to give Simon Phillips any signs of hope that he might actually win that back. When I took that belt away from him after I slammed his wrist inside that steel chair a couple months ago, I wanted him to understand that that was more than likely the last time he will ever see that gold in his career at Coastal Wrestling Federation. And so he's not going to have the honor and the privilege to see it on the screen. The most he'll get to see, however, is the Spartan Pro Wrestling Championship, because he doesn't even have the nerve to come up to Gadsden, Alabama and even face me for it. But that's besides the point. The fact that he thinks that he actually has a shot against the FleauxHawk is laughable at best, because this is a former cult leader we're talking about. I'm not sure if the whole disobey cult thing is still going on or not. This guy was flailing around upside down crosses and everything else. And Yeah, and yeah.
Light
And,
the
you know,
candles, Amy.
hey,
No
shoot.
kidding.
Do-do-do-do. Anyway, besides the point, he had a bunch of people minds, under his control and everything. And yet, at some point, the crowds in Milton, they started getting behind this guy. I guess because they would prefer him on top compared to a true professional wrestling talent such as yourself, such as moi, Justin Fleaux. But that's besides the point. He and his little lackey, the little twig, I can't even remember his name at this point. They had a hard-fought battle in the main event a few months ago. And Fleaux Enterprises, that was supposed to be our night. Me, Justin Fleaux, the prodigy Hunter Hendricks, and the most dangerous professional wrestler in sports today, Jet Danger. So we decided to make a statement on their behalf. They were hugging and now it was all nice and sweet, yada, yada, yada. And we decided to break up the party and make a statement. We started beating up him, his buddy, and then we slapped his wrist inside of a steel chair to really get that emphasis and send that message that Fleaux Enterprises is the real top dogs in Coastal Wrestling Federation. Went right on top of the top turnbuckle, jumped off, slammed his wrist in that chair, and tried to do him a favor and end his career early before he has to face me again. But that's okay. That's okay. He wants to face me again? No problem. I'll put his wrist in another chair, except this time I'll make sure it's a permanent injury. Because all this talking, all this trash, all this accusations about what Fleaux Enterprises does, it's perfectly fine. All it is, it fuels me. It fuels Hunter Hendricks. It fuels Jet Danger. And by the time Commando Clash is done this Saturday, we will all be holding championships above our heads as we walk out of that military complex.
Marshall Briggs says Fleaux Enterprises, aka soon to go to be bankrupt and unemployed. Marshall Briggs is he your all's general manager?
If you can even call him that at this point. I mean, the man has mentally broke down. I mean, ever since I catch that bounty on his head around the beginning of last year, the man has slowly been losing it, y'all.
Well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Let's back up. You put a bounty on the
No.
promotion?
No, I didn't put a bounty on him. I cashed in on a bounty.
Who put a bounty on him?
Nobody knows.
Oh.
All I know is I was given a
bounty.
phone call and was told to eliminate that man from the board of directors and the entire CWF.
No, that's
And
smart.
by some grace of God, the man is still roaming around CWF now with his next lackey, Nathan Sims, which is laughable because they've had such a long tenured rivalry with each other alone. They're the current tag champions, but not for long. I promise you that. But going back to him, I mean, it seems like ever since I cashed that bounty on him, he has done everything in his power to try and eliminate me from CWF. And now he's going after Hunter Hendricks and Jet Danger, who had no association with me when I claimed that bounty. He is obsessed. The man is obsessed. He's like, I couldn't even describe the man at this point. In fact, at the last show, Jet Danger was facing the Manimal. And it was a hard-fought battle. Manimal was going through it all, and Jet Danger got through at the end and won the victory. And instead of just letting that happen, Marshall Briggs then goes into the ring, tries to beat up Hunter Hendricks on the outside, who was only there for more support, might I add.
Of course.
And and he got involved in the match. And really, as much as I have respect for Jet Danger, I love the kid. He's absolutely one of the next top tier stars. You have to check him out, have to pay attention to him. The Manimal did have the upper hand, but the Marshall Briggs, the lunatic that he is, cost the Manimal that match. And then he wants to get upset. That Manimal is upset that he just lost that match and an opportunity. So, mind you, the man can insult me all he wants. He can type in the little comments, and I find it funny that most of the guys that I'm about to face, have faced in the past, are all in here watching this, trying to troll me right now. It's very cute, y'all. Very, very, very cute. But at the end of the day, I mean, you cost Manimal a match. And as far as I'm concerned, no good, hard-earned Florida man does that, So, you mean, you can troll all you want. You can call me all you want. At the end of the day, you're the lunatic. And to Nathan Sims, I strongly advise you to find a different tag partner very soon. Because what happens if this Saturday, Hunter Hendricks and Jet Danger both grab those tag titles? What happens, man? Do you think Marshall Briggs just pats you on the back and says, you know, it's okay, we'll get him next time? Or is he going to leave you bloody in the middle of that ring because he can't stand that someone associated with Justin Fleaux has beaten him once again? That's the real question he's got to ask.
So y'all have an incredible opportunity to change the balance of power and see at WF this weekend.
Absolutely. Fleaux Enterprises is not going anywhere. I promise you, whether official, unofficial, Fleaux Enterprises is leaving Commando Clash with nothing but pure gold all around our waist. I can guarantee you that.
Oh, guarantee.
Well, now that we know where you're going, let's talk about where you've been. Tell us how you got into pro wrestling. What made you decide to get into the business?
What a long question to ask, my friend. It goes back as far as that. Thank you, Allison. I appreciate that. See, there are some people that appreciate the FleauxHawk and His Majesty. Maybe it's another reason why Ben Rowe can't stand me, because he could never even bother trying to grow hair as long as this. Anyway, we'll go back. We'll ignore it. So back when I was 6 or 7 years old, I was coming back home from watching a Supercross race in New Orleans, Louisiana, Superdome. I was born and raised in Louisiana. I consider Baton Rouge my home, always and forever. I was heading back, slapped the TV on, and this is right about 99, 2000. Never even heard about professional wrestling. I slap it on, and what I'm seeing is The Rock and Triple H going at it inside of a squared circle. And I'm like, I know what boxing was. So I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Kind of looks like a boxing ring, sort of pretty cool. But man, they're really slamming the hell out of each other. Man, what the heck is all this? And I was just instantly glued. And so it went to commercial break. And so I said, okay, that was cool. Change the channel. Local channels back in Louisiana, back in 1999 and 2000, had the USA Network and TNT right next to each other. So as soon as I change the channel from that, I go and then I see WCW Monday Night Nitro. And I'm like, what? There's 2 of these shows. You're serious. And so, just like overnight, just instantly glued to professional wrestling, trying to switch between channels back and forth on my old CRTV, just obsessed with it. And it's just, for me, like, it was just the absolute, it was so cinematic, but it was so real. And I just never experienced anything like that before. And so I think it drew me to him. The charisma of professional athletes like The Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H, Mankind. And then on WCW, you had the power of Goldberg, the lunacy and, the crazy wackiness of the NWO. It was just these crazy stories being told live. And I just found such an amazing appreciation for that. And so from there on, like every Monday, Thursday, Friday, whenever wrestling was on, I was watching it. It was so I was so obsessed with wrestling that my parents used it as a punishment for me not watching wrestling if I did bad in school. That's how obsessed I was with it. And
welcome to the club, buddy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Been here since I was 6, man, for sure. And I've always had appreciation for it. And right about around the age of 25, I'll be straight with you, I was lost in life. I truly didn't know what I wanted to do. So many things that I've tried to be back when I was growing up. Football player, didn't work out so well. Ran track, did cross country, which is good athletically, but I never really saw it as like a full-time career thing. I tried video game design. I went to summer camp for that and then realized how freaking high the tuition is for that. It's insane. And then try to be graphic design, just try to figure something out, and just nothing was clicking. But there was always something in the back of my head that said professional wrestling, professional wrestling, professional wrestling, professional wrestling. And at the age of 25, when I'm really sitting here in my apartment wondering what the hell do I want to do, I said, screw it. Let's give professional wrestling a shot. And so here in Alabama, which is where I currently reside, I didn't even know if wrestling was even like a thing here. I didn't know if there was like really top wrestling promotions like a TNA or like an NWA or Ring of Honor or anything around here. As far as I was concerned, Alabama was wrestling less, like nothing, up until I looked up on YouTube a wrestling training school video by Mad Dog Dan Sawyer. I don't know if that name rings any bells or not. He used to run an old promotion called GCW here in Alabama. It was a video in 2012 that I saw in 2017. So who knows if the training academy even still existed at this point. I just decided to say, screw it. I'll give him an email, give him my resume, what I look like, see if it works at all. And he gave me the fortunate blessing of allowing me to come into his house of pain, as he calls it. And for the next 3 years, I trained as hard as I possibly could. I was there every Sunday, worked my tail off, and just as every year went by, I was getting better and better. I know I was getting better, but at some point, I had to know if this is officially something I want to do. If this really is something I have the opportunity to do. And so in 2019, I got hooked up in a connection with Joshua O'Hagan. Joshua O'Hagan is an Alabama Wrestling Hall of Fame legend. He has been in the wrestling business since about 99. He actually trained with Mad Dog back in 99. And so I got the connection with him. We negotiated, and then he got me the connection I needed in order to get to the first promotion I ever worked with, which was Victory Championship Wrestling under Johnny Slaughter. And without Joshua Hagan, as much of a rivalry as we have had of recent time, with him making me that connection and me allowing to debut January 18th of 2020 for Victory Championship Wrestling, I'm not too sure if I make this a career or not. And that day, January 18th, 2020, about 5-10 minutes out there in front of that crowd, I knew this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, without question. Because while I was a nobody, mind you, nobody knew who I was. I come out there full swinging, happy as I ever can be. I go against AWOL, put him down for a DDT, 1, 2, 3. Crowd goes crazy. They're excited. They want to see me. I'm like, cool. I did something that people want to see. And to be honest, that's probably the first time that's ever happened to me in my life at that point, is that someone gave me an opportunity. And that's all Justin Fleaux has ever asked for, is an opportunity to show what he's capable of. They gave it to me, and I soared with it. Mind you, as soon as I went backstage, I gave everybody high fives, and I was blown up beyond belief. I was like, yeah. Oh, God. I think it's because I was just holding my breath the whole entire match, because I just, it's the first time you're ever inside of a squared circle. You're super nervous, jittery. You're not even thinking about breathing. You're just making sure you get from point A to point B. And from there on,
it's always a rush. And it's always a rush every time you get in the ring. Every time you get in the ring. It will never stop being a rush. People think that the people that are at the top of the game, like at WWE or AEW, they think they'll get nervous. No, they still get the jitters. I mean, we've all seen that clip of Undertaker, who was nervous before he went out there. If Undertaker still gets nervous before going out, anybody in this wrestling business gets nervous before they go out. The day you don't get nervous is the day you need to hang it up.
Truer words never been spoken, my friend. But yeah, and so I went from January 18th, 2020, and of course, lo and behold, COVID happens. And it puts us on ice for about 3 months, but we come back stronger than ever. We grow as a promotion. We then move the promotion to Gadsden, Alabama, and we decided to rename it Spartan Pro Wrestling. And that's where this belt comes along. And it's been an honor and a privilege to be working with the people that I do work with at Spartan Pro Wrestling. And it's because a lot of those people, I've gotten the connections that I needed in order to expand from Spartan Pro Wrestling and go even further out into Alabama, down to Florida. I've now wrestled in Mississippi a few years back. I've gone to Georgia. I'm just slowly expanding the horizon of the FleauxHawk and Fleaux Enterprises as a whole.
Who'd you work with in Mississippi?
It was Leonard Gibson, I believe his name was, for the Combat Wrestling League. They ran only a few shows in Jackson, Mississippi, and then a couple more in Waynesboro, Mississippi. And then I think they've taken a break at this point. But that was right around towards the same year when I debuted, around 2020, around July, August, give or take. Yes, sir.
I remember that. I'm from that area. I live in that area. I'm from Texas.
Oh, do you? Okay.
But I live in Mississippi. When you mentioned O'Hagan,
yes, sir.
I worked with him quite a bit.
Have you?
In like around 2015, 2016.
Okay.
For Pro Wrestling Ego, he is an incredible performer.
Look, the guy's like mid 40s, late 40s, but he's still in better shape than most guys who are just starting their career out. I get you. The man runs off of two things: Red Bulls and cigarettes. I don't know how he does it, but he does it. That is his diet, and the man can go. I'll give him his credit where credit is due. And
he's like Mike Jackson. If Mike Jackson was a hyper leprechaun.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding, man. But yeah, and ever since 4.5 years later now, I'm growing stronger. Like we've discussed further, we'll discuss obviously later on into this podcast. I'm now considered a top talent, not my words, other people's words, in like Spartan Pro Wrestling, Coastal Wrestling Federation. Hopefully in other promotions that will be honored to have me. I'd be honored to work for them. And there's nowhere else but up going forward, my man.
Well, I'm hoping that we see you. I'm hoping we see you more here in Mississippi and Louisiana.
Yes, sir. That's the crazy thing, man. I hail from Louisiana, but I've yet to have a match in Louisiana. I need to break that ice. 100%, man. There's one place I want to wrestle, and it's the place where I grew up, and I love wholeheartedly the most, and that's Louisiana, 100%.
Well, I hope that happens for you and soon.
Yes, sir.
Gadsden, Alabama is. I've heard of Spartan.
Yes, sir.
When I saw that they ran out of, and I've heard good things about it. We have a good friend that just he used to wrestle and now he's a referee. Adam Hunter.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and
because I think he's from isn't he from?
He is from Gadsden.
That's what I thought so when he said that.
That's his neck of the woods. So we've been hearing about it with his quest into becoming a referee, and I mean he's out there killing it every weekend now.
Oh yeah. Out of all the, there's a lot of referees that I've worked with, that I've wrestled with, and who have officiated my matches, and I definitely consider him one of the best ones that I've worked with. Him and another one named Troy, who now runs with Coastal Wrestling Federation. He's another good one too. They're both phenomenal talents, and Adam Hunter, I give his credit. I mean, he loves this just as much as any of us do, and it shows in the ring for sure.
Well, let's hear about some of your career highlights. Who are some of the best? I won't say the best people you worked with because they're all great. I'm talking about the ones that stand out. Who you've had your best matches against, your most memorable moments up to now.
Whew, man. Let's see, over the 4.5 years so far. I'll say any match that I've had with Joshua O'Hagan is easily up there. It's always been a hard-fought battle. The crowd's always been hyped up for it. Another one I'll give is a man named Brendan Cash, who is also part of the Irish Brotherhood as we speak. I faced him multiple times in Spartan Pro Wrestling. He is one of the hardest SOBs I know. We actually trained the same time at Mad Dog's House of Pain. And so we have a long tenured history with each other. And so being able to wrestle and compete against him for the Spartan Championship was an honor in and of itself. But all the matches that we had were distinct, unique, and the crowd was up on their feet every time for it. Another one I'll give is as much of the lunatic as he is, I'll give Marshall Briggs the credit where credit is due. As much of a hard-fought battle I've had to go against that guy, the crowd was always behind it. You could just feel the energy anytime we were in the ring with each other throughout last year. And and it's, and whether I may want to admit it or not, it kind of helped elevate me as being one of the top guys in Coastal Wrestling Federation. So, I'll give that credit where credit's due. Another guy I'll give credit to is Christian Pierce, a man who's been making a name for himself along the same time as me. And he has actually run a promotion before, BCW. I've wrestled him in the former Bad Boy Pro, now High Voltage, that runs out of Huntsville. and even Rocket City Championship Wrestling, I faced against him. A guy that has a knack for this business and will go through any lengths to try and win, and I respect that about him. See if there is anybody else I could say. You know what? Just recently, just this past weekend, Daryl Shaw. We had a phenomenal match. The man is the leader of the G Code here at Spartan Pro Wrestling. We had a hell of a fight against each other. Crowd once again on their feet. That's the one thing that's always seems to be a recurring pattern. Anytime I have a competition compete against these guys, that crowd's always anticipated, always on the edge of their seat, wondering what's going to happen next. And that was a true hard-fought battle, very much a David and Goliath type scenario. Because while the FleauxHawk is built, Daryl Shaw is a monster, and he was literally swinging me around that ring left and right. She's literally holding me, choking me up in the air, and almost had that victory when his boys got involved and tried to hold me up. And then the lovely assistant of mine, Miss Mercy, whacked the living hell out of one of his boys with a clipboard. That's her thing. And so, came out with a victory and hit him with my very famous finisher signature, which is the flow ends. A lot of people need a bunch of spinning. They need to do a lot of slamming. All I need is this hand on the back of someone's head, drilling them into the middle of the ring, and it's 1, 2, 3 every single time.
Just grab it.
Yes, sir. Springboard. Yes, sir.
Springboard move.
Yes, sir. It's springboard either from the mid rope or the top rope from the outside. Just fly through the air, and then spike their head right into the middle of the mat. And as the move's name is claimed, their flow ends. Simple as that.
Love it.
Yes, sir.
That is cool.
Like to see that one. We're definitely planning on trying to get down to Florida to see one to attend. Of course, if I get down there, I want to get booked.
Hey, I mean, come on, man. And nothing else. Hey, look, if nothing else, y'all will enjoy a fantastic show at Coastal Wrestling Federation. We have a phenomenal stacked group of guys in that locker room. Granted, not as good as Fleaux Enterprises, of course, but we have an amazing group of guys down there, and we always put a phenomenal show. We've had I think almost a full year of sold out shows now. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's getting there. Coastal Wrestling Federation is definitely trying to make an impact and make its claim as the top promotion in the Florida Panhandle, and we do it every single Saturday that we run. 100%.
Wonderful.
I'm
I'm
go over here
excited.
to
I
the
want to go down
chat.
there.
One of our friend of the show, Willie Buck, wants to know: have you ever wrestled his favorite wrestler? And that's Tommy Hilliard.
I don't think I've had the pleasure of facing Tommy Hilliard just yet, but I'd be more than happy to. Where does he run? Does he work out of Alabama or does he work out of
Florida?
Florida? Okay.
I think I saw Willie. I think I saw Willie post that he was going to a show in Florida. I don't know what part.
Okay. Well, if our paths ever cross, I'd be more than an honor to compete against the guy. It's I'm always honored to go toe to toe with anybody in that squared circle. I really consider that squared circle to be like my home away from home, regardless of wherever it is. For the 10, 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes, hour and a half that I'm in there, all situations outside the ring are completely gone. It really is that area where I feel the most free in life, is being in that squared circle 100%.
Rob Ocho said that Tommy Hilliard goes by the Suicidal Soldier.
That's why. Okay, he went by a completely different name. Yes, I have. I did have the pleasure of facing the man at the Van's tribute show that we had. Van unfortunately passed away a few months ago, and we had a tribute show for him. And it was an honor and a privilege to go against one of his former best buddies. And while the FleauxHawk didn't win that match, I couldn't be mad about it because his buddy got the victory, and that was a good send off for Van on that tribute show. Nice. So I was very much proud to be a part of that. Sorry, I completely did not realize that was his name. Suicide Soldier. Yes, I know exactly.
I've never heard Willie call him that. So
yeah,
but I know that he's been singing Tommy Hilliard's praises to us for forever.
He's a really good one.
Mhm.
He's a really good talent. Yeah, definitely one of the better talents I've worked in the ring. I think for sure.
Thank you for that, Willie. We appreciate that. Thanks for joining us again tonight. Who's on your bucket list? People that you haven't faced yet that you really want to face.
Man. Well, this rematch coming up against Alex Kane here soon as Spartan Pro Wrestling is going to be a very, very exciting one. I've been trying to get my my rematch against that man since I faced him way back in 2020. I think it was about around July. I think was the last time we ever faced each other. And 4.5 years later, after becoming a 2-time Spartan champ and dominating the Southeast as far as any promotion I've worked in, now readying myself better, it's going to be an absolute pleasure to go against the former MLW champion, Alex Kane, Mr. Boumaye himself. And that's one I'm definitely looking forward to. As far as other talents I would love to compete against, whew, good Lord, where do we even start? Matt Cardona would be a pleasure to work against. Anybody associated with the NWA would be a pleasure to go against. I've heard Johnny Swinger is a fun one to go against. Let's see here. Ultimate dream would be to go against The Rock, but I don't think we're there quite yet.
Yeah.
not quite yet. But if the man's sticking around the way he is, who knows? Maybe in a few years we might see the FleauxHawk versus Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Maybe a pipe dream, maybe not. We'll have to stick around and see. As far as it goes, otherwise, one I would love to go against is AJ Styles. AJ Styles to me, his talent, his ability just to work in that ring for so many years, the way he has, is just unbelievable. And I've had the pleasure to meet the man, talk to the man, even play video games with the man. And so he's a really good guy on screen, behind the scenes. It'd be an absolute pleasure to work with him.
I've heard that he has never forgotten where he came from.
I don't think he certainly has. Not at all.
Yeah. And you think the guy that's been there, done it everywhere on the highest levels. But I've heard that a nicer man you probably couldn't find, and he's very humble and he knows exactly where he started. And I remember when he was in the NWA Wildside. So
yeah, long time ago.
Cup of coffee in WCW too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
right there at the end,
before TNA. Yeah.
He's even throwing
I think you have some family in the chat. Brittany Marks called you cuz and said your uncle wants to go watch you.
Wait, who's uncle?
Apparently yours.
Oh, Brittany. Oh, that's right. Sorry, my apologies. Yes. Yeah. That's Brittany. She's my cousin, and yeah, down in Louisiana. My uncle Thomas is his name. He's been a big supporter of me, being as a professional wrestler. I love him to death. So I'd be more than happy. One reason I want to go back to wrestle in Louisiana is be able to perform in front of the rest of my family, because minus my aunt and uncle and my immediate family of my mother and father and grandmother, the rest of my family is back in Louisiana. So it would be a pleasure and an honor to be able to show them what I can do, not on screen, but rather live in person. Do you know?
Yeah, Josh Newell, if you're listening, BIW could
buy you independent wrestling.
You got a hometown boy that's hadn't wrestled in front of the hometown yet.
Call me.
I think we're heading.
Let's negotiate.
We may be heading down South Louisiana pretty soon.
Well, yeah.
We're starting to run. I mean, we do West Monroe primarily.
Okay.
West Monroe, Oak Grove, Riverside.
Denham Springs by chance?
I think that BIW has run Denham Springs before I started. I've been with them for 10 years now.
I got you.
I want to say that I've heard that town mentioned. But anyway, Josh, keep that in mind. Just throw it out.
FleauxHawk's always one phone call, one message away. So, let's talk business.
Tell everybody, do you have your own YouTube channel? You have your own merch store?
Well, I certainly do have a YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Justin Fleaux, spelled the exact same way that it is on screen in the bottom left of my camera. I don't necessarily have any videos uploaded as much as I have videos saved on there right now of other people who have recorded my matches. So you can check out any of the matches I have so far. If you want to check any action, obviously Coastal Wrestling Federation, we run live streams now on YouTube of every show that we do. So you're more than welcome to come check those out at SpartanProWrestling.com. You can go and subscribe to our video archive, which not only has Spartan Pro Wrestling shows, it has all the VCW shows so you can check out my start and my build and grow throughout the years through that. Only $7 a month for that. And I did have this merch store, which is where this shirt came from. This shirt right here is the moment where I won the Spartan Pro Heavyweight Championship for the first time against Brandon Cash.
Cool.
And unfortunately, it seems Store Frontier has decided to shut down and not inform anybody about it. Yeah, so now I got to reopen another store, but I promise you this shirt will be available again fairly soon, and we'll also be getting some new merch here fairly soon, so stick around for that. Other than that, yeah, you can just follow me on Facebook. I go by my shoot name, Justin Scott Flores on Facebook. I decided to keep everything all together in one part there. You can follow me on Instagram, JO_Fleaux23. You'll see me in my infamous pose with Spartan Pro Heavyweight Championship and soon to be Coastal Wrestling Federation Championship once I claim that victory. But yeah, that's all the locations you can find any information about me.
So you're not on X,
sir?
You're not on Twitter?
Not at the moment, no. But if things keep working out the way they are, I will be on Twitter fairly soon.
Okay.
And
I was looking on there trying to, and I wasn't sure if the one that I found was you or not. It didn't look like you. So
yeah, I think I do have a Twitter account. I think I do have an account. I just haven't done anything with it. So I plan on expanding onto that social media network here fairly soon, and we're gonna continue to grow here, baby.
Well, it's a cesspool. Avoid Twitter at all costs. People like me are on there. So it's a cesspool.
Oh yeah. And I almost completely forgot. We yours truly, the FleauxHawk Justin Fleaux, is actually currently on a Tubi show, an Amazon show, and everything else, known as DJ's MMP, a show that is created by a man named.
Uh-oh. He's froze up.
Oh, I thought that was everybody.
I'm sitting very still, ma'am.
Oh no, Justin.
I'm here. I mean, are we all here? We're all good?
Yeah, you're good. You were talking about your show.
You were about to tell us who it was, and you froze up. Can you hear us?
We got you, buddy.
Somebody called him again.
I bet Simon tried to call him again.
What a heel move.
I know.
What a heel move.
Are we all here? We're all good.
We're all here.
We're good.
All right.
The last thing Simon you were telling us about Tubi.
Yeah. So a free to watch service, Tubi. You got, I believe it's on Roku now and on Amazon. It's a show that goes by DJ's MMP. It is a drama action, sometimes horror, depending on what your scenario is. And yeah, I had the pleasure of interacting. DJ Ragland is the director of the show. He actually used to commentate for Spartan Pro Wrestling. And he brought me onto the show along with talents such as Dylan Cook and several others from the Spartan Wrestling roster. And that's my first ever performance in acting on an actual show that you can go and watch on a streaming service. It's been really fun. It's been a pleasure. We're currently shooting a movie to finish off season 1, and he's currently in the process of writing scripts for season 2. So you can catch the FleauxHawk also on that.
That's pretty cool.
Well,
yes, sir.
I want to show everybody one more time. Commando Clash this Saturday, May the 4th, at the 919th Special Operations Wing Family Day at Duke Field, Florida. There's going to be meet and greets, VIP fan experiences. It's free admission. So come on down, support a great cause. Simon Phillips versus Justin Fleaux for the undisputed Coastal Wrestling Federation Championship. Either Justin's going to legitimately be able to throw it over his shoulder, or Simon's going to get it back. So May the 4th is the conflict is either going to end, or it's just going to, or that chapter is going to close, and it's going to ramp up even further.
It's going to close when I have that gold around my shoulder. That's how it's going to close, with nothing but a W for the Fleaux Enterprises. Like I said, whether we win or not, we're leaving with gold at the end of this show. Yes, sir.
And then catch him with Spartan defending his title.
Yes, sir.
Defending his title against Mr. Alex Kane. Saturday, May 25th. Tickets are $10. Located at the Gatson Mall.
That is a show
open
you
at
do not want to miss.
He's all over the place. Hopefully soon coming to a town near you.
Everybody's going to want to rock the FleauxHawk anytime I get a chance to be at your wrestling promotion. I look forward to seeing everyone at that show. I look forward to making everybody boo and cry this Saturday when they realize their hero Simon Phillips ain't going to win. I look forward to competing against the suplex assassin, Alex Kane, getting my W, and moving forward as a Spartan Pro Wrestling champion. I look forward to expanding not only the FleauxHawk, but now Fleaux Enterprises with Hunter Hendricks and Jet Danger. Business is booming, and we ain't going nowhere, baby. I very much appreciate y'all for having me on Talk Wrestling. This has been an incredible journey, minus obviously all the technical difficulties, but that's okay for first time. We
do it live. It's part of the charm.
Yes, sir.
We thank you for your time. It means the world to us that you come on with us.
Absolutely.
If you ever want to come back again, you have an open invitation, something you want to promote. When you get that store back open, let us know. We'll share the details of it.
Yes, sir.
Be safe. We wish you best luck this weekend.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm always open. If you ever want to have me back on Talk Wrestling, I'm always one message away. You already know how to connect with me, Dave.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's a pleasure meeting all y'all. It's a pleasure talking with all y'all. Not so much of a pleasure for all the rivals in the comments and trolling me, but that's okay. That they want to stay mad, let them be mad, because the FleauxHawk's just going to keep going, baby. And that's how we roll.
Thank you so much. Justin Fleaux, everybody.
Yay! That's going to be a good match. Oh, there we go.
There you go. Nice split screen.
There we go.
Yeah.
We got new technology. It's
like
a rib. The producer of this show, Miss Teppy Miller.
It's definitely a rib. So a couple things, because I'm the historian of the old school wrestling in the Arn Anderson. He stole the belt and is holding it like Arn did when he took it from Dusty. They broke the arm, which I love, and the match is happening on May the 4th, which, to hell with Star Wars, that's Horseman Day. Okay? So this is going to be awesome. Awesome. And that was a great guess. What an insightful conversation that was, Dave.
Yes, he was. He was very, very insightful. He had a lot to say. That was
halfway
cool.
through it. I'm thinking last week the babyface was on talking about beating up his brothers.
I couldn't tell who was the baby face. Who's the heel?
I don't know. There's a baby face in this match.
There may not be one.
He may just be that good of a talker that he convinced us he's the baby face.
I mean, we cashed in bounties. We cashed in a bounty.
Yeah.
Oh, he definitely slashed that guy's tires too. Like you know how he slid? Like, his tires just went flat. He definitely slashed that guy's tires.
And then broke his hand.
Broke his hand in the steel chair. Yeah.
Steel chair.
Stole his belt. Championship, pal. Championship.
Exactly.
Big things are happening down in Florida, man. We got to get down there. We got to get down there soon.
And not only that, Alabama. Every time we turn around, he's talking about Spartan. You got New South. There's Rocket City. I mean, every time someone comes on here, it is. I did not know that until, doing this show, how happening Alabama is. And Georgia.
Well, and one thing is
crazy. I'm sorry.
One thing that was pretty clear is reps. He's getting reps in. And that obviously, as a young wrestler, matters. So to anybody who's listened to that interview, take note, he's getting reps in. and the more reps you get, the better you will be.
He mentioned the Manimal.
Mm-hmm.
The Manimal will be with us next week.
That's going to be cool.
Nice.
Yes.
And now we know that Marshall Briggs cost him. And I mean, I was looking at the Manimal. I'm not sure that I'd want that guy half hot at me.
No kidding.
Is this Marshall guy going to make an appearance? Because he seems very heelish. I like him.
Yes, he is. Right?
There you go.
Yes.
He is. Yes, I thought
we'll
he was.
Have him on in 2 weeks.
Yes.
In 2 weeks, we'll have him. And I got a surprise for everybody.
Right now?
Well,
Teppy's not here. Put it up. Put it up.
Well, yeah, the graphics only going to be a little bit cool. May 21st.
Oh,
Mr. David Pinzer is going to join us to talk about his book, Sitting Ringside, that he wrote along with Guy Evans, author of the Nitro book.
Oh, I like Guy Evans too. Awesome.
So Mr. Pinzer is going to join us on the 21st.
He's another great one. Again, sitting ringside as a fly on the wall in a sense, and what all he has seen and heard and done with all the different promotions. I think that's going to be really, really cool to read his book. It is on its way. I ordered it a couple days ago, so I'm looking forward to reading it.
So big things coming up on the show.
Woohoo!
Let's talk about Dark Side of the Ring.
Well, wait, can we finish our Baltimore stories?
Oh yeah. Forgive me.
There's more to talk about?
Well, I was just going to say, yes. Okay. If I had to pick between Jimmy's Seafood and Sabatino's, I would go back to Sabatino's. That's my personal preference. The waitress at Sabatino's was like your grandma, and you're all sitting around the table, and she's cutting up with you, and she's bringing food. She wants to make sure everybody's, got their bellies full. It was like we were in someone's house. Like it was definitely just like Andrew was saying about the decor. You were in a house. Like you were just like, come on in. Grandma's got food on the table, and we were just in there. It was great. I loved. Jimmy's was fine, but I feel like maybe because of them doing the selling of ordering and stuff, like they're really commercial, I guess, in a sense. You know what I mean? Like it was really good. The food was good. But I
was always told it was kind of like Joe's Crab Shack with better food.
I could see that.
I've only eaten at Joe's Crab once. I don't have a basis of comparison.
Mm-hmm. But the Sabatino, it's like when we went to Gibson's. Like it's the atmosphere, and like you said, you could see people, you could see the horsemen sitting there eating, you could see maybe some mobsters sitting there eating their I mean, like just the whole place was something else. And then Lindsay's wedding was just beautiful, like absolutely gorgeous. She was gorgeous. The place where she had her wedding was just gorgeous. It was just a beautiful weather day. I mean, it couldn't have been more perfect. It was just really I was honored to be there. I'm really glad that I was able to go.
Agreed. The wedding, the venue, the vows, the inclusion of all her family, the little nephews as the ring security.
Yes.
I mean, it was fantastic, and you could tell her fingerprints were on every aspect of that wedding. That's what Terry and I talked about on our show last night when we recorded. And I was very honored to be there. It was, and we had a really cool group of people that were there. Obviously, Coach Keith's in the chat, Terry's in the chat, Allison's in the chat, and we have Megan and Bober, and I'm gonna miss somebody, Anthony and his wife. You start naming people, you're going to miss somebody. That's the problem with naming people.
And shout out to the chat. We thank y'all for joining us. We're proud y'all are here with us. Glad to see Coach Keith. I've been missing him on the Top Guy watch-alongs on Wednesday nights. I even asked about him last night. Like, hey, what happened to Coach Keith?
He was with us in Baltimore. He needed a day.
I saw the pictures of T-Weave, Allison, Drew.
Yeah, he needed a recovery.
Heather Whitley, of course, Willie Buck, Marshall Briggs joined us. Woody McCullough, Brittany Marks, Rob Ocho. Thank y'all. I know I'm not gonna say her name. Just go all the way back for an hour to name everybody, but y'all are appreciated. Man, I'm telling you, I hate. Wait a minute,
Millette?
Gerald Millette says had the pleasure of working with Sherri Martel for about a year and a half when she was with DiBiase, Macho Man, and Shawn Michaels, original singer of Shawn's music. Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I didn't mean to put that up there, but when you're right, you're right.
That's right.
He absolutely meant to put it up there.
Yeah,
But it
really.
is true. Usually I sit in the audience, not here on stage on this show, and you guys have continually made this more and more entertaining, and the show gets better week by week. Even if Dave doesn't know how to use the skin, and we won't tell his wife on him.
Well, like I said, what a rib. She's like, hey, I'm gonna go watch. Oh, get this. She says, I'm not gonna be there because they're having baseball games tonight.
We're baseball widows again.
Meet me halfway.
Justin and
Meet me
her.
halfway between here and Clinton, and bring the puppy because the grandkids want to see the puppy.
Oh.
Oh, wait, it gets better. So she picks up our granddaughter, our 2-year-old granddaughter from daycare and brings her. So she tells me when I meet her at the park to switch, she goes, don't let her see the dog. Just change cars with me. You can take her home, then I'll go. But she's hiding the puppy from Aubrey because Aubrey will go nuts for the puppy. We got a new puppy this week. His name's Fritz. Fritz von Wiener Dog.
It's
got Bucky a playmate.
Fritz von Wiener Dog. Oh, okay.
Oh,
bless.
Well, when Aubrey saw him the day before yesterday, she came in the house and she was calling him New Bucky.
New Bucky.
That dog had just enough healthy amount of fear on the look on his face too when she had him in half a headlock. I saw the picture on Facebook. Just enough. For God's sake, Drew. Oh, stop it. Stop.
That is great.
Oh, I gotta get JD to do a picture of my wiener dog with the iron paw.
Oh my.
He can do it the style of Kevin and David Von Erich. Or we'll find a picture of Fritz and one of the boys doing the claw.
I'm gonna leave y'all as you start talking about the iron paw because you know I love dogs. This is crazy.
Well,
I know.
But Andrew told me when he found out we named him Fritz, he said, "Don't do that to that dog."
I did say that.
I call him New Guy. I call him New Guy, and Tip calls him Little Bit. So he probably don't even know what his name is.
I was going to say that's even before we knew you named him Fritz von Wiener Dog. Like that's even more.
But every dog does need a playmate. That is true. Like they do better in pairs. They really do.
I mean, this baby's only 7 weeks old now, and when he gets a little bigger, right now we have to watch him when they're playing because Bucky's not trying to hurt him.
Sure,
but he gets a little rough. But Bucky weighs 11 pounds, and this other dog probably weighs 1.5 pounds. I mean, he's tiny.
It'll be it.
And Bucky's still a baby too, so it's not like he knows any better,
right?
You know.
Yeah, how old's Bucky?
Bucky's 8 months old. He just had surgery. He
had surgery.
He got snipped. Yeah, he got snipped.
He got neutered. Okay. Like Bob Barker, spay and neuter your pets, kids. We don't need extra. We don't need extras at the shelter.
Oh man, I don't know about you all, but do you all notice? Speaking of shelters, like I just feel like every time I'm on Facebook, we found this dog and we found that I just like where are all these dogs coming from? I don't know. People are not taking care of their animals and they run off or what, but I just hate that. Like their shelters are getting full, rescues are getting full, and it's just, I'm with Andrew. I'm very much a dog lover, and it hurts to see these poor animals in a cage. They don't know why they're there, and just Anyway, sorry on that. So
I rescue mine, and I own 4. I will never have 4 again because the littlest one I have is 55 pounds. So I will never have 4 at the same time again. But and the fat one's about to make an appearance because it's her bedtime, so she'll be coming in here shortly.
Don't call her the fat one. Her name
Well,
is
she
Molly.
is the fat one.
Well, she eats everything, including the cords off of his computer.
Yes, she does.
True.
Yeah,
It shouldn't have been standing there.
And she is the boss, and she knows she's gonna get away with it. So, but she'll be waddling her butt in here soon enough. Hopefully, we can get a little weight off her this summer because we're doing an injection. This is how much I love these dogs. Okay, they get the heartworm medicine. They get their 6-month checkups twice. She gets blood work every quarter. She takes a pain pill because she has chronic arthritis. Next month or next week, we're going to start a monthly injection to try to give her some pain relief so that she can lose a little weight and have a better life and not deteriorate her kidneys with the pain medication. So this is what I'm dealing with an 11-year-old dog at this point.
No kidding. So, it's like you're going to put her on Wegovy? No.
I forget what it's called, but it's a monthly injection. Yeah, and it gives her energy and all this. Yeah.
Dude, I bought heartworm medicine today.
Oh, yeah.
It's stupid expensive.
You ain't lying?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, let me tell you what I have to do. My dog is over 100 pounds, so I have to buy 2.
Yeah.
Because they come in.
I had a Great Dane. I'm familiar with that gimmick.
I mean, and he is not that much over. It's kind of like.
Well, mine was 185.
They might be taking you.
No, 185.
But yeah, yours was legit. Roscoe weighs $1.07, and I can use the same heartworm trifexis for him and Molly, but that pill is $52 a piece right now.
Ooh.
So $104 just for their heartworm.
It was breaking down to 44 from my vet. But if I bought the 6-pack, I could get a $35 rebate.
Yeah.
And then they had put a
for
QR
Bucky
code.
Or for who?
For Bucky.
Okay.
Yeah, we ain't got the little one yet. I'm like, $44 a month?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, me and my wife I'm old. She's not, but still. My medicine's not $44 a month, and I'm on 2 medicines.
Let's compare. What medicine are you on? Just curious.
It's cholesterol and arthritis.
Oh.
Meloxicam, and I don't know. I keep pictures of the bottles because when I have to go to the doctor to fill it out, I'm not one of those people that can just rattle off the medicines.
I'm not a speller, no.
But so then,
sound it out.
Because I could have got 3 pills for 125.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up getting 6 for 191.
Mm-hmm.
But they put a QR code on there, so the next time I can still get them for that, but then I can get another 35 off by scanning the QR and going in. And
that's definitely for cholesterol, that astrobacin.
Anything that ends.
I go with the one that's not only for the heartworm, but it treats them for fleas and ticks as well.
That's what I've got. Mine's called trifexis, but you may have a different thing, but it's the same thing. It's the internal worms, the heartworms, and the fleas and tick. Yeah.
It's next gen something or another, but
that's what it depends. But I'll do anything for these dogs. You all know.
I got 2 of them.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
I mean, speaking,
I have 4.
Well, speaking of things that I have a lot of, wrestling belts. Big time belts, y'all. We started off, we saw the Spartan Heavyweight Championship. We have yet to see the Coastal Championship, but if you go to Big Time Belts, you can get your own championship. If you're a promoter, don't send your champions to the ring with a flimsy toy with stickers on it. You don't have to go to the trophy shop and get that thin stuff. You can get a belt just like you see on television. Very high quality, very low prices. You can get custom belts.
I like that. That's fun.
The Hair Guru King used Big Time belts. Russell L. Chew. He's in Louisiana, but he got a variation of the AEW Championship. Made it his very own. Got the barber's chairs on there. I would love to find out where this guy is, just so I can go down there and he can do my 0 on the side and fingertip on the top. Down south, we got the Gulf Coast Wrestling affiliated with the with the Mississippi Seawolves minor league hockey team. That's a complete custom design made by Big Time Belts. I got to hold that belt. I was blown away by the quality of it. His quality has always blown me away since the first belt I got from him.
Mm-hmm.
But so many times when you hear about people that make belts in Pakistan, you're thinking it's the bootlegs that they shouldn't be making. No, this is a great alternative for independent wrestling promoters to get quality belts with your own designs. The Louisiana Brass Knuckles Championship. It was a hybrid. I mean, it was based on the Texas Brass Knuckles Championship. He went to Big Time Belts. The ATCW Heavyweight Champion went to Big Time Belts. Our good friend Tim Robinson.
Yes.
Tim Robinson's belt dreams came true. I worked for Tim's family 15 years ago. 15, 16, 2008. 2008, early 2009. He was renting belts from me for his show to have good belts on his shows. And he never got a chance to get his belts. And through Big Time Belts, he was able to get his heavyweight championship. This couple got wedding belts. September 7th, they're getting married.
Lindsay, not from Big Time Belts, because she didn't hear about it in time, but Lindsay and her husband Derek, they had wedding belts.
Wedding belts.
Forever Tag Team. Yep,
Forever
they were really good.
Team.
Yep.
Yes. Super cool.
And if it goes south, belt shot to the head. There's Tim's junior heavyweight belt that he got. And I'll go on record saying that I like his junior heavyweight belt better than I do his heavyweight belt.
That's a pretty belt. Yeah, right there. That's a pretty belt.
I like that white though. That's
low quality.
High quality. Low prices. He said it backwards. He's the elderly, folks. Justin Davis is not here to remind everybody. Palmwater Dave is an elderly. And what he meant to say was low prices, high quality. Low prices,
high quality, Big Time Belts. Go to Facebook.com, Big Time Belts. We would love to make your belt dreams come true.
Definitely.
Back to the chat. Mr. Gerald is he's been commenting about Sherri Martel in the chat. And before we ever get into the Dark Side episode, I think it's important to point out that they didn't give her any credit for behind the scenes interactions with kids. She was wonderful. Kids wouldn't turn anyone away. I believe that because of all the things that I've heard. I mean, when I hear Bruce Pritchard talk about her and Tony Schiavone talk about her, how respectful she always was to everybody. Mm-hmm. So
I really liked how on the episode they have video and audio of her talking.
Yes.
I thought that was really, really, she is definitely one of my favorites. And I loved that they were able to incorporate, previous audio and previous interviews. And I just love seeing her not made up and just seeing her as herself.
Yes.
She
was larger than life though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she just had a presence. And I even watching her old clips from AWA, watching her in WCW, watching her in WWE, just seeing the pictures of her, just the photographs they showed when she was young.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want this to sound bad because it's not. She's a beautiful woman. But she was kind of like Arn Anderson and J.J. Dillon. When they were 20, they looked 40. And when they turned 70, they're still going to look 40. They're ageless. They never looked young, but they never look old either. So, you know what I'm saying?
I think she was at an age, like she looked like you really couldn't tell how old she was.
Yeah, I mean, when you see pictures of her,
very, like you said, if they showed you a picture from the 80s to the 2000s, they were very remarkably similar. Like you wouldn't be able to say, "Oh, she grew up," or she, she
Yeah,
went through
she'd
a
win. If I
phase.
was guessing her age at the carnival, she'd get me
Yeah,
every time.
yeah,
Yep.
she definitely was. The charisma that she had really came through in all that she did. And that's
Well,
what, what took her to the heights of being the manager, wrestler, whatever.
and I would
Sorry,
say to
Andrew.
frame this conversation, no, you're fine, Amy. We all love Sherri Martel. But to frame this conversation properly, like Dave said, AWA, WWF, WCW, this is a woman who gets to share the spotlight with Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
She manages the Macho Man. She manages Ted DiBiase. She manages Shawn Michaels. She manages Ric Flair. She manages the Harlem Heat. Not only
Mm-hmm.
that, she was an accomplished wrestler, but more than that, to the point you're all making about the chat. To the person, I do research for Arn Anderson's podcast, Four Horsemen Network on YouTube. I do research for Jake the Snake. I've done research with Marcus for Ted. None of them have a bad word to say about Sherri Martel.
Mm-hmm.
Not one of them. None of them will say anything bad about her. Despite the drug use, which we know. I mean, that's up front. The words are she was always professional. She was willing to do anything. She carried herself as one of the guys, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily as a woman. She took that over the top atomic drop from Hogan for the entire Mega Powers Explodes loop, and did it well. When he comes
Mm-hmm.
to WCW, they pair her with Flair, and she and Flair are off to the races. Um, yes, Peggy Sue, exactly. She is, like I said, phenomenal in every sense of the word, and probably a decade too early.
Yes,
Honestly, a
Mm-hmm.
decade too early.
I I think you could say the same thing about Medusa.
Yep, I was just going to
Definitely.
use, but we're not
Those
talking about
ladies,
Medusa, but
right?
she
But those
just
are
too
ladies.
early.
Those are
Yeah.
ladies that are a victim of not having dance partners that can
Mhm.
go
Right.
with them.
Eh,
They were really the trailblazers. They opened that door and let men, let the promoters, the other wrestlers, the audience see what a charismatic woman could bring, wrestling, woman wrestler, what that could bring to shows and to, like you were saying, even as a, and I do know that, in some of those promotions, Medusa and Sherry were phenomenal managers because of their wrestling and because they knew how to work with the crowd and they knew how to take bumps. And they were, I don't want to say relegated, but like you said, because they didn't have those dance partners, they found themselves being more of a manager
mhm.
type and doing, but like you said, taking bumps, getting involved in the matches, not afraid to get hit. I mean, and or to do whatever it took to help their person win. And with the pain meds, she was like you said, she was doing the same that everybody else was doing. You
Mhm.
didn't want to stop, you did because you did lose your spot. And so she couldn't take time off to heal, basically. So they're all self-medicating. And then, you get to a certain point, I'm sure, that 6 doesn't do it anymore. You got to take 8 or, whatever, or something gets aggravated. So, you know,
Well, think
um,
about it. Back then, it was easy to get them.
yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, well, yeah,
Back
that's
then, it was
another
easy to
thing.
get them.
And
And it was
everybody
Now,
had them.
prescription. Yeah,
I
it was
mean,
prescription stuff. It wasn't, I
when I
mean,
cut my thumb off, when I cut my
what?
thumb off,
What the hell do you mean you cut your
I
thumb
cut my
off?
thumb off. I
What
got it caught
what
in the
how
truck
did
door.
you
I got it caught in the truck door at work, and it cut my thumb off. I cut my
okay.
thumb off on a Wednesday. Got it sewed back on a Thursday.
What thumb? Which one? Show it to me. Like, where did it get cut off? I'm just curious. Like it looks weird. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're going down a
it
rabbit hole
hurt.
now. Good job, Amy.
Well, I
It,
mean,
it cut it cut back, and but what I'm
He's
saying
he's been
is,
he's been shot in
but
the head. You didn't think he's had a appendage cut off? What's wrong with
but
you?
see, this is what happens with him. It's like, I was going down the road. He's like, I beat a crack whore up with a tuna can. What? Like he just says it like everybody should be like,
like it's common knowledge that you should know that. Yeah.
I beat up a crack whore with a tuna can. It's gonna be a shirt at jumpinthepond.com.
It certainly is, because I'm an elderly and pucker up asshole already is. So
I mean, that's the way he says. I mean, how casually did he just say, well, when I cut my thumb off, you're like, you cut your thumb off? Like, that's not a sentence you hear all the time.
Well, I did.
So I have to ask for details. And as you hear, it's a whole story.
I reached out to close the door on my delivery truck, and I put my hand up. And when I did, and I pulled it, it didn't have the cover on it that it's supposed to have.
No.
And I felt it kind of pinch, and I pulled the door back and looked, and my thumb was hanging off.
Oh,
and I was like,
God.
So I lost my shit. Oh, I cut off my thumb. So there was a woman out there for Frito. I was at the dumpster at Frito-Lay when it happened. And there was a woman out there cleaning up. She jumps in the truck, sits me down, takes me back up to the building. So I come in and I tell my boss, hey, I cut my thumb off. And my boss didn't believe me. So then when she saw that I really did cut my thumb off, she starts freaking out. She's running around. They're trying to decide if they're going to call an ambulance or if she's going to drive me to the hospital. And we just got our new
towel. Do we have a towel?
Yeah, I'm wrapped up. Okay. I had a towel around it. Okay. So just I'm sitting there holding it. And she's running around trying to decide. And we just got these iPhones.
Oh my God.
And at the time it was the iPhone that you still used your thumb to unlock.
Oh no.
So I go, hey Sandy, I got a problem. I got another problem. She goes, now what? I said, I can't unlock my phone. I can't unlock my phone. Because when I'm hurt, I start trying to be funny. So we get to the emergency room, and if you go to the emergency room in Jackson, Mississippi, it's packed.
With what? Like
you're laughing, but it's because of the lack of insurance, ma'am. That's why it's packed.
It's packed. Okay. So we go in.
Surely you got to move up.
The woman tells me
you're missing.
The woman tells me to take a seat, and my boss says, "Move the towel." And I opened the towel up, and she saw my thumb, and she goes, "Come with me."
Yes, thank God.
But no, I cut my thumb off on Wednesday, got it sewed back on Thursday, took Friday off. I was off Saturday and Sunday. Monday and Tuesday were supposed to be vacation days. We moved them to sick days. I was back to work on Wednesday.
Like, how long did your surgery take? Like, they had to attach everything, right?
Yeah, they just sewed it back on and put pins in it.
But do you feel anything? Like, are there nerves? Like, everything works?
Well, okay? Yeah, because where it cut, it didn't sever the nerves.
Nice. You got lucky.
Again, only Pond Water cuts his whole freaking hand off, but somehow misses every nerve, so he could just sew it back up.
I mean,
just like the crack.
Been all right with me. They just gonna took the whole thing off and let's go.
You wouldn't have liked life without a thumb. Yeah, you wouldn't have. I don't think.
I got two.
Well, you have two eyes also, but at least they fixed that one.
He's got one eye that works. Stop that.
Two that work. Anyway, but I tell you all that to tell you that they sent me home from the hospital with two pain pills.
Yes.
Yep.
2 pain pills, and then it was take Tylenol arthritis and Aleve. Alternate Tylenol back and forth.
I bet.
And Tylenol arthritis. Tylenol arthritis makes me sick to my stomach, so it was just I had to take Aleve.
Naproxen, yeah, it's a better one anyway.
There was a time that you'd have got 40 of them damn things, and then now you can only get 2 when you get your fucking thumb cut off.
That's pretty rough.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what you call telling a story to find your ass around your elbow. But in this particular case, we got to the thumb too.
You have to,
Dave,
with like I said.
You're right though. And Drew in the chat put it in there. Drug control has become such a thing. The story of Kurt Angle taking 60 Percocet a day. I'm not sure that I believe it was 60, but I know it was a lot. You can't do that anymore. They've got the drug controls in place that without committing a felony, you're not going to get 60 Percocet, So, same with Sherri Martel and the rest of these guys. And I miss Dusty. She worked with Dusty with Macho Man after the Mega Powers, and she worked with Robert Fuller. Obviously Colonel Robert Parker. So there was
she actually worked with him though. They had a match.
Yeah, and she kicked his ass too.
As you should.
But my point in saying all that about Sherri was she was so trusted. Look at the names, just the people, and of course we know she sang Shawn Michaels' song, but
immortalized forever. Every time you hear "Sexy Boy," you're gonna hear.
Yeah, but just the names, the trust, the belief they had in her to say yes, we're gonna let you do this.
Yes,
and there is no bigger endorsement than Hulk Hogan. The only one that would have been was Stone Cold 5 years later. But there is no bigger endorsement in professional wrestling than Hulk Hogan.
He did pick and choose.
And I think, and I really liked her. I'm sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
All I was going to say is he chose her. Of all the women, it was her and Elizabeth.
Yeah. I'm old enough to remember when the women on a wrestling card were an attraction.
A novelty.
This weekend, so-and-so, 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 and women, and the girls.
Yep. They put them with the midgets. It was like an afterthought or a joke, where they do the midget wrestling at the bottom of the brochure.
Sherri Martel was the woman's revolution before the women's revolution. It's like she wasn't the attraction and the girls. She was different. To the point where when the AWA went away, they had to make her more of a valet. She was her and Rockin' Robin in WWF, but what I'm saying is you've had the attraction, you had Medusa, you had Sherri, you had Bull Nakano, you had some women that were ready for prime time years before prime time, but they were beautiful. And then they phased into the divas and the athletic 10s. It's just a shame that all that talent couldn't have the same opportunity that your Charlotte and Becky and Rhea and Natty and all the ones that actually can wrestle, that carry the cards, that have made women's wrestling actually more enjoyable than the men's wrestling.
I think one of the things I think is pretty cool is how they talked about Vern Gagne wasn't really in with Moolah. And you think about it, Medusa, Sherri Martel, and Wendy Richter all came from AWA, and they're all very accomplished because they were allowed to be wrestlers and wrestle with each other. I just think that's interesting that you can
keep in mind Vern was running the same game that Moolah was running, though. Because when you got booked out, Vern expected a piece of your money too. Yeah, he wanted Rick's money, and Crockett told him, "Tell him go fuck himself."
Right, but I guess what I just mean is they, on their own, without Moolah, like I said, I mean, you have Moolah's group, but like if you think about those three women, I mean, those three women come to mind. Lalani Kai also comes to mind. She was with Moolah, but the
Wendy
other
Richter.
three. Well, yeah, that's what I said. Wendy Richter, she was at AWA. So I'm just saying that's what I mean. Like they all came from AWA. They didn't need Moolah, and maybe because they were able to wrestle each other, because they didn't. Other promotions use Moolah and their girls, so they didn't really do as much with them probably in the beginning. That's what the story was saying. Yeah, I mean Heather kind of mentioned this. I'm sure that there were some issues before wrestling, and of course, wrestling maybe enhanced some of that. There was a lot more of that around drugs or whatever.
Well, I had no idea that her and Jake were an item.
Yeah, me neither.
He had no problem telling you what a piece of shit his father was.
I think we all know.
And he even said that he thought that Sherri was older than what he normally liked. So,
yeah, he was surprised. I know.
But
that's just.
I mean, that
makes my skin crawl. Ugh.
I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm just telling y'all what I saw. I didn't know she worked in strip clubs.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but I mean, it told me that she was into a party lifestyle at that time, 70s and 80s. I mean, if it wasn't for the 70s and 80s, there wouldn't be a dark side of the ring. She was just doing. She was doing what everybody else was doing.
Right.
But it sounded like, she was just that was the crowd that she was in, but she
and you got the
she rose
potential sex abuse, home life, emotional abuse, all of that stuff she was dealing with too.
Didn't know
that they
who
may not
that
have gone
was.
in depth. I didn't.
Well, I mean, it was implied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very much implied because it's been very much speculated and talked about for much of her, since her passing anyway. That's why they call her a survivor and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Do they believe that she might have had some help with her overdose?
I didn't get that. Did you?
Everybody used to question whether Gino overdosed or he was killed.
Well, but he was running with the mob or whatever, right?
Allegedly.
He probably owed money. Well, the way they talked in that is the best friend, she kind of spoke like she thought that Sherri was going to be doing some training with women, like for WWE. F whatever, because it was literally, I don't even know, was it 6-8 months after she was inducted into or was it a year? Maybe it was a year. She went into the Hall of Fame. Yeah, she went into the Hall of Fame of 2006, and then she passed away in 2007. I think it was either she was working out, like getting herself back in shape to do training, which re-injured something. Because the friend said that they were going to help, WWF was going to help her get back surgery or, help fix whatever was needed fixing. I can't remember if they said they were going to get her into rehab and that she was going to, she was really excited about maybe getting to help train some women wrestlers at whatever, Florida State, whatever the farm league they might have had.
Yeah, Florida Championship, yeah. Now NXT.
I think it was probably accidental. Like she just seemed like she, you know what I mean? Like maybe she had overdone it, working out or something. And I didn't get that sense that it was.
I just saw that document they put up with the high levels, and that's why I was asking. And
well, the one thing about it is
full disclosure, my boss had called at that time, and I didn't hit pause, and
Yeah, one of the things about it is, and I know this is somebody who is an alcoholic, you end up with very high tolerances, but you know what you can handle. So that makes you wonder if it was intentional overdose or not. Because an accidental overdose is not difficult. But like that's more heroin and stuff and fentanyl, especially now. Pills, they tell you exactly how much is in them. There's no guesswork there. And they're not cut. So
they're not made
definitely open-ended.
Yeah.
It's definitely open-ended. But yeah, it was sad that she died because she's such a huge part of my childhood memories because I'm right in that sweet spot. I started watching wrestling in 1988. So she's right there for all of it along the way. And I have great memories of Sherri. I love her screaming, her promos, her Zeus and Savage doing the promo for the SummerSlam in front of the cauldron, and she's portraying like a witch, and she always had her makeup matching her dress and all that sort of stuff. I mean, she was perfect in presentation, and she enhanced all of them. The knock on Heenan was he took away from the guys he managed some of them because he had all the heat.
Yeah.
That was Rick Rude didn't like being managed by Bobby Heenan because Rude wanted all the heat, but Heenan had more of it than he did. Sherri never upstaged her guys, even when she was outperforming them. even when she was taking the big bump at the end of the night, or she was the one that was going to get, embarrassed or whatever by Hogan or whatever it was. She never upstaged the Macho Man or DiBiase or Michaels or Flair or any of the rest of them.
Her bumps were always like, oh my God. And I mean, it was a woman taking the most vicious, violent bumps.
Shawn Michaels bumps.
Yes.
So where Michaels is a little bit of an overseller, Perfect is an overseller. Sherri was an overseller. Nobody took bumps like that in a female, presentation. And you said it earlier, Dave. You got Sherri, you got Medusa, and you got Bull Nakano, all great dancing partners together. Sherri had beat the brakes off you. Medusa climbed a steel cage in high heels, for God's sake. Okay. And that is iconic in an evening gown. And of course, Bull Nakano, a 200-pound woman, does a guillotine leg drop off the top of a steel cage. So this is what they were doing when they were allowed to wrestle.
They're the definition of broads.
I mean,
that's not just, and I don't mean that disparaging. That's not a disparaging term, but how I mean it. I mean, that's just, that's a tough broad.
Yeah. And all three of them were.
Yes.
And I mean, you can't really talk about Medusa without talking about Sherri. Because of the AWA, because of the connection, then the WCW. But yeah, Sherri was fantastic in all aspects of. To me, she was the quintessential professional wrestler.
And I thought it was very interesting because I knew she had a son, and again, that was something that was like I think they kind of talked about was kind of frowned upon, but I loved that the stepmom and Sherri like tag team to take care of the son, and they talked about that in the show too. The stepmom loved Sherri, said she was a wonderful person, she'd come in, but understood this is her, this is what she had to do. If she could have wrestled at home or, like this is what wrestling was like, going out on the road and doing all that kind of stuff. I thought that was a really interesting piece.
I was put off early in the episode that she had the baby and it was pretty much like, screw it, I'm out of here. I'm going to wrestle. Like she turned her back. I mean, but would it have been better if she would have stayed and been miserable her whole life for not doing what I mean,
I wonder
it's a behavior that I don't want to defend.
Right.
But think how miserable. I mean, how many people that get married young and they stay in it, and then there's kids involved and they stay in it, and then by the time they're late 40s or 50s, they just hate each other and they hate themselves because they didn't chase their dreams. She made a tough decision. She was selfish. I mean, you can't sugarcoat it. She was selfish and chased her dream. So, and her dream and that lifestyle ended up killing her.
Right.
But if she'd have stayed and been miserable, wouldn't have she been killing herself the same way?
I was going to say she'd have found a way.
It's I think there's not a happy ending either way, but
I wonder if, and this is just, I mean, of no, like I didn't read it or anything, but I wonder if she thought having a baby would make her happy, her family, because she didn't have that growing up. So maybe she was thinking the baby, she was married, because from all accounts, she was excited. I mean, they were married, it wasn't like she just got knocked up or whatever. You know what I mean? Like they were married and they were going to do this. And, maybe what she thought would make her happy didn't. And like you said, I mean, it was selfish, but I mean, I don't,
but there was also the drugs too. I mean,
right. I mean, she had I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's her story,
It's a tough story. They don't call it Bright Side of the Ring.
No.
And they never will, because that won't sell.
No kidding.
I mean, have y'all ever watched you watch 30 for 30s,
Mm-hmm.
and I was watching Roger Staubach's 30 for 30, and halfway through it, they go, normally when we do these, this is the time where we'll talk about the
Your drug
downfall
addiction.
or the
You're
problems and it goes, with Roger Staubach, there's not any.
right.
So I mean, you're Andrew's right. They probably that kind of it's kind of hard to sell that kind of television
Yep.
because people
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
everybody
misery loves
likes the
company.
drama and the
Yeah.
bad stuff, you know.
I
Um,
thought I thought one thing that was very interesting. I don't even know really how to take it, but the friend is the one that addressed that the son may or may not have had cancer. Did you? I mean, like he obviously had something. Because she
From
said he had.
between the Hall of Fame and now,
Yes,
because when he
yes, because
stood up at the Hall of Fame, I'm like,
yeah, but the friend is the one who said, Fitzpatrick, Kathy, I think was her name. She's the one that said, "I heard he had cancer, like mouth, like he had to have part of his tongue removed or whatever." I was just really interested that the son who was on the show never said anything like that's correct or that's wrong. I just thought that was really an
yeah, he spoke
interesting
highly of his
way.
mother. He wasn't mad.
no,
No, but I
No,
no,
he
it
mean,
wasn't
is.
mad.
You
it's
guys
weird how
pointed it
the
out. I go ahead, Amy. It
no,
was weird. What?
I was just going to say I felt like that was just a weird way to address his speech, his appearance. They didn't let or he didn't want to address it. I don't know. Like I said, the friend is like, "Well, I heard he had cancer." So
I've
is
actually
that
heard that he
true?
had
I don't
cancer
know.
as well, reading online, but I don't know. I think it's
I just thought
interesting
it
to
was weird.
point out too that you guys hit it on the head last week and the week before in your coverage of Gordy and Adams. The importance of the children in this particular season anyway, or the emphasis on them, because I've just recently watched Harley's Dark Side of the Ring, and there's
Mhm.
plenty of dark side in Harley's and they left some of the most colorful stuff out, like when he pulled a gun on Hulk Hogan in the bathroom in Kansas City, for working
Mhm.
his town. That's
Mhm.
legit. Harley raced with a 44 Magnum in the bathroom, and we're not playing Clue, okay? But the kid had nothing but good things to say about Harley, despite the fact he and his mom got divorced, despite the
Mhm.
boating accident that hurt people and nearly bankrupted the family, all of the instances, the lung cancer, all of it, and his son is, positive, same as Sherry's son, same as Miranda Gordy and Jesse. I forget his name, but was about Bam Bam. The what is his name, Dave? Jesse
Uh,
Gordy. But he didn't
Ray,
go by
Ray,
Ray. Thank you,
Ray Gordy.
uh, Ray Gordy. But he didn't go by Gordy because of who his dad was, and that sets a pretty high
Mhm.
bar. But all that being said, they've done a really nice job with this because the elephant in the room is the Flair story on the plane ride from hell. That really
Mhm.
turned the trajectory of this show for a lot of wrestling fans. Um,
Mhm.
and I think that probably this is kind of a rehab thing for them because it's still the dark side of the ring, but they're
Mhm.
able to take it from a different angle that makes it,
They're vetting
better.
people.
Yeah.
They're what,
Well, and
Paula?
it
They're
gives them
vetting
a
people.
more complete story too, because you've yet to see a child come on this show and just shit all over their parent. But
Right. And they've given a really insight on who they were behind the scenes. Like, I mean, with gentleman Chris Adams, they talked about like they had movies, and they showed about his writing that letter to his daughter Jade about so it gives more of an appearance or more of a information on what kind of person they were. I mean,
yep.
John Tenta, like man, like could a family love someone any more than that family loved them?
No.
And I've just,
Eh,
and I just didn't know as much about, I really enjoyed that just for the information about his. I knew he had been in Japan, but I didn't know he had gotten a scholarship to LSU and, like and all that stuff and met his wife at a karaoke bar or whatever they were. It just, like I said, it was really interesting. All of them have been.
Yeah, and like I say, they call it Dark Side, and it obviously is. The final one's going to be Black Saturday. I don't know that that's really a Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah, it's pretty dark for me.
Stop it! Stop!
No, I turned on the 605 and I'm like, what in the actual fuck is this?
Vinnie Mac on the TV. Man. Ironically enough, sells the slot back and funds WrestleMania. So there you go.
But that may be where, I mean, I was already about half hot seeing he was picking off all my favorite promotions.
Mm-hmm.
Vince McMahon will always be the villain in my wrestling fandom. I mean, like right now, I mean, anything that bad happens to him, I think the man truly deserves it.
Yeah,
just for what he did to me personally.
Drew asks us, "Are you guys ready for a Vince Dark Side of the Ring, buddy? That's a season in itself. You don't get one episode.
No,
but
that guy gets a different story every week.
Yeah, and Vince recently there was a picture, a video of him on the X, and he's got a cane, and he's still got his Dick Dastardly mustache thing going on, and he looks a little soft, like he looks small.
Really?
I'm not sure he ever stopped using the juice or HGH, but he's working for sympathy because they're going into
dictionary. It's tucked somewhere between shit and syphilis.
Yeah, he's going for that sympathy you love so much, Dave, because he's about to get hosed because there ain't no jury in America that's going to side with him. So they need the arbitration to work. Otherwise, he's screwed.
I heard John Laurinaitis flipped and is on Vince's side now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Because he came out firing at Vince to begin with, talking about how
he's going to put his finger in there and saw which way the wind was blowing, and he's jumped on Vince's bandwagon.
So crazy. So crazy.
That's what happens.
I didn't mean to get sidetracked. We're talking about Sherri, but I happened to see it and I saw the comment from Drew. Yeah. I mean, Vince is an entire series. There's so much crap that man's gotten away with that he, in a powerful position like so many others, have bought himself out of or hired lawyers that have gotten him out of it. The federal government had him dead to rights, and they lost. And the one thing about it, anybody that knows anything about the federal government, is if they choose to pursue you legally, they usually do not lose. It's like a 99.999% victory. The best thing you can do is get a good lawyer and get a plea deal. And Vince beat him. And I mean, he's the Teflon. He's worse than John Gotti. It's the Teflon Don. But it'd be a good Dark Side of the Ring. There'd be plenty of content. I just don't know that you could get it in one season.
Right.
I wonder if they'd ever do anything like that, being since The Rock and $7 is involved with it.
Who knows? I'd like to think that there's too much, even though Vince is a shithead and then some, I think there's too many people that owe too much to him that they wouldn't be on board with it.
Right. Yeah. I could see
as much as you hate to say it, Stone Cold Steve Austin doesn't happen without Vince McMahon.
True.
He gave him the platform, he gave him the direction, he gave him the creative, and he gave him the ultimate antagonist. Now, so the Austin era does not happen without Vinnie Mac. I think Stone Cold is probably the last person, regardless of what he thinks of Vince McMahon, you're ever going to get a public statement from.
I mean, I'm not one of those that because something bad happened that we're going to forget that. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Vince McMahon doesn't have positive contributions to the wrestling business.
Right.
But I'm also not going to pretend that he's probably, for lack of a better term, he's a bitch.
Mm.
He has bitch-like tendencies.
Is he in the same category as Chris Benoit?
No, Vince can't. Well, you can't make an argument that concussions makes Vince the way he is.
Nah, and I don't know that I buy CTE personally either. Hope that doesn't light the internet on fire. I'm a guest on this show. Send your hate tweets to @30yearfan. The man made a conscious decision to kill his wife and kid. Sorry.
Right.
I mean,
I'm just saying that.
And then he realized what he did and he killed himself. So
I'm saying though, when you think about how taboo it is to even say Chris Benoit,
Oh, I
like,
think that's dumb. I
No, I
think
do
that's
too.
can't talk
100%
about his
dumb. Chris
okay, so
Benoit had
that's what
Chris
I'm
Benoit
saying,
had
like,
some of the
no.
best wrestling matches you'll ever see. Doesn't make him a good human being.
Right.
No, I mean Johnny Valentine. Johnny Valentine Johnny Valentine put lighter fluid in a man's asthma inhaler.
Yep. And thought it was funny.
Yeah, thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And today, man, they'd want to hang him up by his balls and feed him X-Lax if he did that today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not the same. But the Vince they'll never delete from history, Amy. There's no way to.
Yeah. Well,
You
no, I
can
guess
you can
like,
stop
you
talking
know,
about Chris Benoit and you can try to subtly
yeah,
erase him and mention, not mention him on commentary, pay-per-views, blah, 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 all you want. He still
right.
had his WrestleMania moment in New York. He still had one of the better careers from a technical wrestling standpoint.
Mhm.
Still wrestled the best guys and still wrestled at a high pace and a very effective level in all promotions he was in. You can't erase the body of work. They'll never be able to erase Vince McMahon because, quite
Right.
frankly, Vince McMahon is professional wrestling. They are
Yes.
intrinsically tied together. There is no way to avoid it. Pondwater can give me the side eye all he wants, but WCCW was out of business when Vince hit his height, as was WCW. I mean, he put him out of business.
The side eye is because I don't know that he's pro wrestling, but he's sports entertainment.
Okay, whatever. Well, what I'm saying is they're inseparable.
I
What
wouldn't
we
have an
love
issue
is
with Vince if Vince was pro wrestling.
we can call it professional wrestling because that's what I call it.
Oh,
You
I
can call
think
it sports entertainment if you want. My point is the WWE brand, what we call professional wrestling. WWE's the Coca-Cola, the Band-Aid, the Kleenex. They're the standard.
right.
Vince McMahon's the founder. He's the Walt Disney of the professional wrestling genre.
Right.
Therefore, you never can divorce the two.
Right, but
True.
can you not draw the correlation that Vince McMahon is the Al Davis of wrestling?
Who
No,
is
because
Al
Vince
Davis?
McMahon had 40 WrestleManias and
Al Davis. Yeah, well, here's the thing.
fire the best head coach they ever had.
Who's Al Davis?
Al Davis
The
is
owner of the Raiders.
that ran them into the damn ground, much like Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys that is
I
running
did
them
know
in.
that. I did
What
know
I'm
who
saying
Jerry
is
Jones was.
Vince has been around forever, but what he was doing, well, I guess it was still working, but wasn't watchable. He's gone, and it's very watchable now.
Yeah, Rob wasn't anything special, but it was definitely a watchable wrestling program this week.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think I saw anything magnificent on Raw. It's not a criticism. It's just nothing was like, oh my God, I'll have to tell all my friends about that.
Well, they were having some groundbreaking episodes, and now they were like, oh shit, Rhea's hurt. So we're gonna go back our playbook, and we're gonna put the belt on Becky.
Yeah, she's the gold standard. They got this worked out with Liv and Dom. Dom's going to get that ass whooped right along with Liv Morgan, and it'll be okay.
But what I'm saying is there was other opportunities to tell short-term stories over the summer without going back to the well on Becky. You just beat Becky, and now she backdoored her way into the championship. What I'm saying is you could have. I'm not saying you had to put it on Liv Morgan. That's a story to tell.
No, they're going to put it on Liv Morgan.
But you could have put it on. You could have put it on Nia, and she could have been a monster for the summer. Or hear me out, because you laid the groundwork. You could have had Maxine Dupree accidentally win the championship, the accidental champion, and she could have accidentally defended it for a few weeks before somebody took it off of her. But you had Becky go up to her before the match. This is your first championship match, and gave her the rah-rah. And then she almost eliminated Nia Jax, and you thought she was getting that. It would have been so great if she was greener than goose shit, being made fun of for her inability to have a good match. All of a sudden, she backdoored her way into winning a battle royal. It would have been Chelsea Green. Same thing. Chelsea Green could have powdered out early in the battle royal, slipped back in, stole the win at the end. Chelsea Green is champion for a few weeks, getting disqualified, finding ways to hang on to the title by hook or by crook until you finally got her pinned down and beat her. but instead we went back to the old, what's safe? We're going to put the belt on Becky.
Terry had an interesting theory on this, and I kind of agree with him after thinking about it. It's also a thank you to Becky because they took the belt from her when she was pregnant with a child. And that was at the height of her run. And the height of her run is done. Becky, Liv will sell tickets. Obviously, Backlash is going to be in France.
Yeah.
The European market it's hot. I mean, anything you do overseas in wrestling, it's going to sell. Tony Khan acts like he was the only person to figure out that they could sell out Wembley Stadium. WWE would sell out Wembley Stadium too, Dick. Okay? It's not you. It's not your wrestling. It's the market and what they're hot for right now.
Well,
but moving away, don't let me get stuck on Tony Khan, Dave. I know you're encouraging me right now. My point is, they put it on Liv. You get all the heat. Here comes Rhea for a SummerSlam, hopefully return, and she's going to knock her damn block off right along with Dom and reclaim what's rightfully hers. So the story tells itself, but they're going to pile so much heat on Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. At least that's what I would do, that there's no way you boo Rhea. And they're not booing Rhea anyway. I made this point. They're booing Dominic.
Not at all.
They're booing Dominic. If Dominic isn't out there with her, you don't hear anything but cheers for Rhea Ripley. Because she is, again, in my opinion, universally loved and the gold standard.
I thought I saw Dom was injured.
He is
Tommy John surgery.
But he's screwing around. But they're screwing around with him, putting him coming out of her locker room. Michael Whitaker just pointed it out in the chat. They got her coming out of the locker room, and she's following while they're doing a stand-up interview and all this other stuff. And they've got to find a way to reconcile the Judgment Day. So they're not sure how they're going to do that yet, because you have Priest with the title, Balor's the former champion sitting there. Of course, you have McDonough and then Dom and Mommy, who is, in my opinion, the leader of the Judgment Day.
Let's talk about
my opinion.
You bring up JD McDonough. Let's talk about the commentary between Cole and Pat McAfee. They said that McDonough had a Klingon head. I mean, they talk trash so much, and it's so enjoyable. My wife even commented, she goes, I didn't know Michael Cole was this. And I'm like, yeah, because he don't have an idiot yelling in his ear all day. He's out there doing his job. And Pat McAfee's dancing on the damn tables. And
Pat McAfee is NFLTG and big dick energy. He
Yes.
elevates everything that he does. He does not care. They got videos now circulating of how many times he cracks Michael Cole during a Raw. Because
awesome.
he cracks him. Like, Michael Cole can't even keep a straight face anymore and doesn't even try. If Vince was there, none of this would be happening. Like, none of it.
Michael Cole is relaxed.
Yeah. And he's having a good time, and he's actually doing some of the best work of his career without some asshole yelling in his ear, hey, remember to remind everybody it's boss time, Michael. Get the fuck out of here. We all know that's Sasha Banks. But that's just... Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I think Tony Khan needs to stop talking. No.
I don't know if you've talked about it before, but seeing how you feel about Tony Khan, how do you guys feel about him calling WWE the Harvey Weinstein of professional wrestling? Vince isn't there anymore, and Vince has got all of his stock for sale. But where's the lie?
I was going to say it is an
where's the lie? I mean,
but
I don't think it's fair on the current regime. I don't really think it's all that fair for the current regime, but Vince made that bed, so.
But the problem is Tony.
Here's my problem with Tony Khan.
Yeah,
should not talk about the WWE at all.
1000%. Please.
I mean, we don't want to hear it.
Bitter. He looks.
When you do it all the time, it's like, Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Stop.
I have a point. You guys go ahead and finish up on the Tony Khan thing whenever.
WWE doesn't talk about AEW because they don't punch down.
So
they don't punch down, but boy, Tony Khan's constantly punching up. But I will say something positive, because showing the video, setting up the thing that they've done. And I mean, it came off, it's storytelling. They've got a story. The EVPs are flexing their muscles, ironclad contracts. Kenny Omega's an EVP too. So it's like you got, and what did they do to that EVP? They tried to kill him last night.
Mm-hmm.
There's a story there. There's a story there with two wrestlers that I despise, that I'm really liking what they're doing right now, though. I'm giving them a little credit because but their timing's piss poor because their champion Swerve Strickland. Why don't you put your champion out there and let him draw what he draws? You can do you can do your stuff with. The time was early in the show because you kicked Tony Khan off his program. EVP's in charge. You can't fire us. They laid down the groundwork how they could get away with this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Kenny Omega should have been out early on that. Point, counterpoint. That's how we kick off the show. But last week, they should have had a celebration in the ring. Mm-hmm. A segment with Swerve talking instead of wrestling. And why are you jobbing out one of your ROH champions?
Okay, so on this topic, Collision is a Saturday night show in a dead time at this time of year at 8 o'clock. For the first 6.5 minutes that Swerve Strickland opened the show on Collision Saturday night, 1.3 million people watched the show. Yet 3 days earlier, you close your wrestling show, your premier wrestling show, with some shenanigans involving an owner who's now inserting himself into a creative storyline and two of the worst tag team wrestlers in the entire world, regardless of what they say. That Meltzer driver couldn't have cracked an egg. The segment was stalled. It looked very confused. I mean, these guys in that ring, the four of them were 15-year-olds making out for the first time, didn't know where to put their hands, didn't know where their feet belonged, didn't know their timing. It looked like teetotal shit, and it was awkward, and it should have been brief, and unfortunately, it went way too long. Mm-hmm. But you have Swerve Strickland, organic, natural babyface. The crowd is behind him, and you bury him.
Not the original plan.
And you bury him. And then you follow all that up by closing this segment with a very long, meandering Kenny Omega promo that really didn't do a lot. And here comes Okada, and you see the attack, and blah, 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 and, obviously the diverticulitis, etc., etc. But you left Swerve in the middle of the show. Yeah, in the middle of the show, getting beat up by Christian Cage out of nowhere. Is now the number one contender for the world title.
I don't hate that, though.
I agree. Well, this is why I hate it a little bit, because I listened to Rumor and Innuendo with Dom and Robert earlier today, and Robert says, because he's a former creative guy in WWE, why wouldn't you give Jungle Boy the title shot, knowing that the Elite has all the power? Where does Christian come from? Now, let's face it, guys. Christian ain't winning at Double or Nothing. But he's going to get a good match. You're going to get some good promos. You're going to get some good action out of Swerve for the next 3 weeks. But they have to build to it. The other thing is the Ospreay title is beneath him, and that's a whole nother issue. Because Roderick Strong does not leave Las Vegas with that title. Ospreay does. Ospreay does. And I think, personally, they should figure a way to get to Wembley, Ospreay, and Swerve. Because the crowd will go bananas, and a 50-50 babies, but they can make it work.
Get Okada and Kenny Omega.
That's what they're going to do. They're going to get them to Wembley, because that's what I would do.
Get them to Chicago.
No, they're getting them to Wembley.
I'm here for it.
Wembley's going to put 80,000 people in the crowd.
I firmly believe that Okada did for Kenny Omega what Ric Flair did for Sting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without Okada, there is no Omega. It's not the opposite.
No, it's
anybody that. And I'll be willing to discuss this ad nauseum because I've seen all their matches, but those 4 matches in Japan, but they are every bit as good as the Steamboat Flair trilogy, and I'm an NWA guy.
But back to Corey Purvis, we took a long way to tell you that I don't think it was. I think it was a clever line. I don't see the lie in it. I don't think it's fair to the current regime.
My bad.
I'm more upset about
Sorry,
you
Corey.
saying that. I'm more upset that you're saying that you're the Pepsi of professional wrestling, because it's just, hey, the guy that was your money guy that you failed to draw money with, he has a Pepsi tattoo on.
He has a Pepsi tattoo, yeah.
Calm down, dickhead. He's trying, and actually, I'm more impressed with the Harvey Weinstein line, just because it's about the last thing in the world that I would have expected to come out of his mouth.
Well, here's where that doesn't work, though. It's the wrong audience. He said it on the NFL Network. Mm-hmm. Those are not necessarily professional wrestling fans. They certainly are not necessarily AEW fans. But you said it on the NFL Network with the attempt to have a broader audience and that sort of thing. But people watching the NFL Network don't give a shit about 135-pound Adderall astronaut Tony Khan. So
did he have his neck brace on at the time?
He did. He's had it on. They even had to tell him on ESPN. It was what's his face said, "Hey, Tony, typically when people have neck injuries, they don't turn their head." Yeah. Like he was turning his head with the neck.
At least he wore the damn thing. He's trying. I'd have been more upset with him if he didn't wear the neck brace. But yeah, you're right. He should have kept it.
That's probably why.
I think it was great use of his father. I think on that angle, having his father come out, it was great use of his father.
I did like that. His dad coming out kind of looking like, what? I know you all could talk about that for a long time, but we all know.
Yeah.
Amy has.
We don't want to run late. I'm sorry, Amy.
No trivia tonight. No Amy asks.
I do have I have one thing, but I don't know. I thought I would try it out if you want to.
Hit us with it.
Okay.
Yeah, this is your show, honey. I'm just a guest.
I know. So I don't know if you all are familiar with it's AITA. Am I the asshole?
Oh, yes. Yeah. The answer is yes. One of my
favorite things to watch on TikTok.
The answer is yes.
I have one that's fairly new. I just thought maybe I would read you all one of those and just see. That's all I want to do tonight. I was just going to read one and we could discuss and then we could see. Am I the asshole? Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Am I the asshole for not going to another restaurant after my boyfriend refused to order from where I stopped? So earlier today, I asked my boyfriend to go with me to run some errands. When we finished, I was hungry and picked a Mexican restaurant for lunch. It was more of an authentic place, which I absolutely loved. But my boyfriend said nothing looked appealing. He gave me money for my meal and said he was going to the place down the street. 10 minutes later, he's back because the place had a really long wait time. I made some suggestions from the menu he would probably like to try, but he said no. He said he told me last week that he was burnt out on Mexican food when we went out to dinner with my parents because we always eat it. He didn't order anything that night either, which was really embarrassing to have someone at the table not eating the entire time and trying to explain my parents and stepdad in a way that doesn't sound disrespectful. Service at this place was rather slow, so I wound up taking most of my meal with me. He said to stop along the way to my place so he can get something to eat. I said no because he knew I had to go home by a certain time for a maintenance person, and everything he wanted was in the opposite direction. We got back to my place, and he said he was going to go home because he was starving. He said he could stay and cook. I said he could stay and cook something, but he said no, and that he needed space after I made him starve. I told him he wouldn't be starving if he hadn't been picky, and he left. He's still mad at me. He's still mad at me. So am I the asshole here?
She is not the asshole. I've got a story similar to this.
Of course you do. What's
Me
your
and Tiff
story?
went to eat at the gumbo pot, and she didn't tell me she didn't want to eat at the gumbo pot. And I ordered, and then she said, I don't want anything. And I'd already ordered. So I had to eat and watch her
not eat.
Yeah, and to me, she was an asshole that night.
Well, here's one
That's
of the
dirty. I
comments.
mean, if you don't want to eat somewhere, you communicate, and if you communicate, I don't want to eat here, but you
This
Right.
don't
is
make
coming from
somebody.
this is coming from the perpetually single guy turning 39 at the end of this year. Fuck that guy. Like
Yeah,
seriously, what a clown. I
Well,
am on her side
I'm
100%.
100% on her side.
I am 100% on her side. And then to say I need space because you made me feel bad, bitch, go get yourself a blanket. I mean,
Yeah,
seriously, and a cup of warm milk. Ain't nobody got
well,
time
hey,
for that nonsense.
this person makes a good point though. It says this is not news to her. She watched him sit and not eat last week when they went to Mexican. So then she wouldn't let him go or so
well, yeah,
if
if they did it the week before, then yeah, she's an
just
asshole for doing
I
it
mean
twice. But she wasn't the
this
asshole the first time.
well the first no, but that's what they're no, we're talking about this time. So she knew that he was tired of Mexican food
Still don't
because
think
he
she's
didn't
the
eat
asshole.
last
He
week.
still don't think she's the asshole.
Well, I mean, I've never taken her back to the gumbo pot, so I
Right.
mean,
I don't I
I
think
stored that piece of information that she don't like that restaurant.
right. I
So
think
somewhere
that
I missed something because this is obviously a communication issue between these two clowns.
Yeah, it definitely is.
yes, because I think she was kind of a little bit of an asshole going to a Mexican restaurant when she knew he did not want to eat Mexican, but then he kind of act like a baby. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like I'm
I eat
starving. I
clean
got
6 days a week. We're going to the Mexican restaurant every Saturday. I don't care what anybody says.
or Sabatino's, right?
Well,
Um,
that was last weekend. Yes, yes.
I think they're both kind of a little bit of an asshole. You know, like she knew he didn't eat. He said, "I
You're
didn't
supposed
want
to
to eat
pick
this."
sides, honey. That's the whole point of these exercises because they obviously were both assholes in some way, but you're supposed to pick a side.
yeah.
I'm still with the
I,
girl because she picked Mexican food, and that's never wrong. That guy, if you go to a Mexican restaurant, there's 114 options for food to eat. To be sure, your bitch ass can find chips and salsa
I
edible.
mean, honestly,
Okay?
if he don't like Mexican food, she needs to go ahead and break up with him because
Yeah,
she
get
doesn't
rid
need
of
that
his
kind of
ass
negativity in
anyway.
her life.
See, I don't. That's for sure. That's where
well,
most of my that's where most of my carbs come during the week is
Yeah,
Mexican
right.
food.
I'm actually going to go with I think she is the asshole. I'm going to say that because I would think if Sean and I went out to eat somewhere and I'm like I am so damn tired of fried fish, you know, going to a fish fry, and if he wanted to go again the next week, I'd be like piss on it.
what
I ain't
else are
eating
you
you.
gonna eat on Friday?
I'm just saying, I think she is an asshole. I could see myself kind of getting a little bent out of shape if I because again, that could be like you said, communication. This could be an ongoing problem. He could be telling her stuff all the time and she's just like, "Oh, well, you can find something on the menu. If I tell you I'm allergic to tomatoes, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
don't take me to a place where everything's covered in tomatoes." I'm just saying, I think we can see it both
But
ways.
in your argument, it's not Mexican food, it's a fish fry. And there's two different things altogether.
I'm just saying, if I were to say to my husband, I'm so tired of eating Mexican, and then he plops his ass down at a Mexican restaurant and says, surely you can find something. I would be like, did you not hear what I just said?
If you told me as your husband, I'm tired of eating in a Mexican restaurant, I would
Right.
say stay at home or file for divorce, honey. Start drawing up the papers.
got to run in here with Bucky.
Look at
Oh,
them. Look at the
sweetie.
babies. Bucky ain't going to let you just give that new dog attention.
No
Bucky,
kidding.
Bucky is like,
And you're
I'm
trying to
still best.
protect
Bucky's
Fritz
like, I'm
here.
still best boy. I'm still best boy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, look
So
at
we'll
him.
Hey,
do so it seems like that's kind of fun. So we'll do that
we'll
on
do that.
occasion too, you
Yeah,
know.
I'll have you music next week for that segment. Uh,
Ooh.
hey, Andrew, tell us what's going on our sister's podcast, the Filter Free Podcast this week.
Filter Free Popcast. It's May. It's 1988. JCP.
Woohoo!
It's a watch along or not a watch along. They're doing a coverage. I think they were going to do a watch along, but things might have changed. But anyway, May 1988. As I pointed out to Terry yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, this is immediately after Barry Windham joins the Four Horsemen, making it the best version of that faction. They hold all 4 belts going into the Great American Bash Tour. It's Arn and Tully with the tags, Barry with the U.S., and Ric Flair holding big gold. James J. Dillon with the deadliest loafer in all of professional wrestling, leading the way. This is where the era where you get the iconic picture of the 4 of them and JJ with all the belts. So those pictures you see at all the autograph signings of Arn with the 4, they're all there. This is where this era comes from. Barry Windham wins the vacated United States Championship in 88. And remember, this is the last 4 months of the Horsemen because Arn and Tully will be leaving for WWF in August or September of this year. So this is going to be really good wrestling. You're going to see Luger, Dusty, Nikita, the Road Warriors, Rock and Roll, and Midnight. There's going to be a ton of good. Sting is in at this point, so ton of good wrestling. And those guys always make it fun. It'll be box score trivia, of course, movies, and Timmy's music karaoke. So make sure you check out FFP this week.
And then on the TNA Top 10, their top 10 list this week is boy bands.
Boy bands, because it's going to be May, baby. At least it was yesterday.
Listen. I listened to it earlier today. Talked about Baltimore. Talked about some college football, about Colorado, about Nebraska.
I am not happy with that boy band top 10. I do not
like
the
Beatles. The Beatles were not a boy band, nor the Beach Boys. But
thank you, Dave.
How can New Kids on the Block not be number 1?
Because the Backstreet are.
Yeah, because they live in a world where Backstreet's back. All right, that's why.
New Kids on the Block got the right stuff right here. That they should have been number 1.
Yeah,
but I that's fine.
But our voters, as I said on the show, got the top 3 correct.
Yes,
because that is boy band royalty. They got the top 3 correct.
Just the wrong order.
And,
Mike Bober, I'm going to punch you next time I see you.
But I do think the Jackson 5 really kind of fit the criteria.
I had to reconsider it, but as I pointed out too on the show, every boy band has one breakout artist, and obviously that was Michael in that case.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I had the privilege of seeing Michael Jackson perform twice. I saw the Victory Tour with his brothers, the Victory Tour, and I saw the Bad Tour. And I mean, you say everything you want to about all the things that the bad about Michael Jackson doesn't change.
I guess we're done. No.
Well, Bucky is not having it, man. He is not having it. He's pissed off about this one right here. Anyway, what I'm saying is Michael Jackson was an incredible performer.
Yeah,
definitely.
You can't. Much like Chris Benoit, you can't take that part away from him.
No.
So, and the reason we mentioned our sister podcasts, Filter Free Podcast, the TNA Top 10, is because together combined, we're on the RAM Network.
Yes,
TheRamNetwork.com. It's our Patreon channel where we're putting out bonus content. Just put it in your mouth as a cooking show, cooking show. They'll do like something that Andrew cooked. They'll review it. They'll do restaurant reviews. That's fun. Audience with the Belt Pope. I just recently dropped my second episode about the Texas Heavyweight Championship. We do watch-alongs, World Class Flashback. We just me and Timmy C sat down. We watched World Class Championship Wrestling from Christmas of '82, where the Freebird slammed the cage door on Kerry's head, starting the Von Erich Freebird War. We're going to deep dive 1983, which is my favorite year of wrestling. We're doing that exclusively over on the RAM Network. It doesn't change what we do with our podcast, but we would appreciate it if you jumped over for that exclusive content. We're having a great time. Amy, tell them what you're doing over there.
Well, I am doing a show with one of the FFP podcast hosts. His name is TJ Stevens, and we do a podcast called power of the pen. And we look at different books that have been written. We did our first one with Brian Solomon, who wrote a biography about the Sheik, not the Iron Sheik, but the Sheik from Detroit. And we talked to him not only about the Sheik, but we also talked to him about the mechanics of writing and how hard it was. The Sheik had already passed, and the Sheik was also notoriously into kayfabe. And so finding that information, and he does the auto. He Brian Solomon is the one who reads the book if you listen to it on Audible, and so we kind of even touched on that, just how that process worked. Our next one will be with David Pinzer. We will be sitting with him here in a few weeks to talk to him about sitting ringside, and again the making of the book and some of that mechanics and stuff. I do want to say real quickly, we are 29 subscribers away from 400. And so if you see over here the like and subscribe, pondwater or pwdpod.com, that's our YouTube channel. And we are so close to 400 subscribers. And once we get 400 subscribers, Dave's going to take a beating from Angel Camacho again.
Double chop.
Double chop. So we ask you, please go to that website or go to that link, subscribe to our YouTube channel, pass it along, encourage your friends. We greatly, greatly appreciate all your support. We just want to be as successful as we can. And like I said, we make these little small goals, and we have been able, with your all support, to hit those. And so we are very grateful for you. And we just ask for you to go over to our YouTube channel. That's all I got. What? And wrap us up so you can go take care of that poor child.
He's just being rowdy. That's all.
I want to thank our guest Justin Fleaux for joining us tonight. I want to thank Andrew Hermes for pitch hitting, coming in. We always enjoy having you. We had a great time. We love you. We can't thank you enough for jumping in at the last second.
Always fun, guys.
Yes.
For the first lady of the Arn Anderson fan club, Amy Vaughn, for Fritz von Wienerdog and his his arch nemesis Bucky. I'm Palmwater Dave. We'll see you next week as we'll have the Manimal on next week from CWF.
Are we back on Tuesdays or Thursdays?
We're back on Tuesday next week.
That's what I thought.
Back on Tuesday next week. Thank you so much. Good night. Woo-hoo.